Hi there, hope you are having a wonderful day. I want to give a little lesson about the power of compounding interest and what it means for you, the end investor. So, one of our facts on this week's The Bear Facts shows that if you earn 8% in an account over 30 years' time, then $1 turns into $10. And if you earn 4% in an account tax deferred over 30 years, $1 turns into $3.24. So you have more than 3 times the amount of money, even though you only have just double the return. That's the power of compounding interest. And so the question is, how can you best take advantage of that? And I want to give a lesson to kind of what happened last year in emerging markets and what's happened over the last really 30 years in emerging markets and the US, and what gives you the best chance to have that higher compounding interest over the next 30 years. So last year, the world market was down about 2.36%. If you take the US and all of the other countries in the world, the total market was down 2.36%. Emerging markets were actually down 14.6% and have been negative 4 of the last 5 years. If you actually go back and look at the last 28 years, 13 of the 28 years have been negative in the MSCI Emerging Market Index. And so the question should be, well, why do I want to invest in that? Why does it make any sense? Well, in the S&P 500, only 5 of the last 28 years have been negative. Well, the reality of that is, yes, you've had more negative years, but the return is higher in emerging market index than it is even in the S&P 500. More volatility, but over time you've had more return. The most recent example to give as to why you need to have emerging markets in your portfolio and how it helps smooth the ride over time is over the lost decade, the years between 2000 and 2009, the return in the S&P 500 was negative. If you had $1 million at the beginning of 2000, at the end of 2009, you only had 900,000. If you had $1 million and you invested it in emerging markets at the beginning of 2000, at the end of 2009, you had roughly $2.5 million. So a 10.1% compounded return versus a negative 1%. Nobody can predict when that's going to occur. All we can show you is the data and the math that goes into showing that proves that if you have exposure to markets around the world, over time, you can expect a higher rate of return with less volatility to your portfolio. And that's why it makes sense. That's why you have that. So you can realize this 8% versus 4%, where you have more than 3 times your money over the next 30 years. So it's why we continue to have exposure to emerging markets, international markets, as a small percentage, but still a percentage nonetheless, because it's impossible to say, well, they're going to be worse next year or whatever it may be. So far this year, they've actually done substantially better. So call us if you have questions about this. The key to return in investing, just as the return to success in almost anything in life, is really to be disciplined and have a plan. We can help you do that. Call us 770-984-2312. Have a great rest of your week.